Peace, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good evening, good night. Quan coming through once again with another segment. And for this segment, I just wanted to touch on a few things in regards to the injustices in this society and how, so called black people, particularly so called black man, is subject to, discrimination and just overall injustices. And for the most part, a lot of people don't understand the innuendos or the undertone of why these things occur. And the reason of why these things occur is because they're spiritual reasons. And we have to understand where we at in this society. A lot of our people have been fed a delusion about the world that we live in because of the propaganda and because of the beast, which is the power structure. And we have to understand what time it is. We living in the last days, so like I said in previous videos, there's a lot of things coming to the forefront in regards to prophecy and the signs, and there's a lot of things that's being revealed unto us. But you know, for the past year, I've been kind of like under a rock when it comes to like what's been going on in the news lately and so on and so forth. Just when it comes to the stuff that people latch onto in regards to sensational news and so on and so forth. And as you can see on the screen, you see the Central Park jogger case, the article that was written on Wikipedia. And the reason why I wanted to touch on this is because I wasn't privy to this understanding of the Central Park Five or anything like that. I guess I just missed out. You know what I mean? Too busy focusing on other things, but this is something that's very pertinent and revelatory to me because this has a lot to do with why I decide and elect to conform to the understanding of the Most High, the true understanding of the Most High, not the falsehood of the Most High, not the false understanding of God when it comes to the church system and so on and so forth. I'm talking about the real, true, nitty gritty understanding of the Most High and what He's about, which is, you know, the prophecies and the messages that are in the Bible being geared towards His people. The understanding that God is a so-called quote unquote racist because He preserves His people. He loves His people. He chose a certain people to be a king on the earth as far as the men that He set up to be kings and priests on the earth. You know, our people did not live up to that, which is why we see what we see today. But He still loves us because He still preserves us. And that's pursuant to Lamentations 3 and 22. But I just wanted to read up on this article just to give a little backdrop into, the content and what I'm trying to convey. So, the Central Park jogger case was a criminal case in the United States based on the assault and rape of Trisha Melly, a 28-year-old white woman who was jogging in a park, and attacks on 8 other persons in areas ranging from the North Woods to the reservoir of Manhattan's Central Park on the night of April 19th, 1989. 3 of the victims were black or Latino, and our people who descend from the Israelites are so-called blacks and Hispanics, Afro-Hispanics and Afro-Negroes, so on and so forth. We descend from the true Israelites according to the Bible, not the fake Jews that's walking around with yarmulkes on their head. They stole our heritage and turned it into a religion known as Judaism or Jewish, so on and so forth. Like, you have to understand the term ish is a suffix meaning pertaining to. So if I'm saying, if I'm talking to my homeboy and I'm getting on him, I'm clowning on him and telling him that he acting girlish or childish, that doesn't mean that he's actually a girl or actually a child. You feel what I'm saying? And it's the same concept with Jewish. They're fake Jews. They're not the real Jews. To be a Jew, it just means that you come from the tribe of Judah. You know what I mean? To be an Israelite just means that you come from Jacob. You come from the seed, the loins of Jacob. Because race is determined by the seed line of the man, not what region you came from. We live in a world where we've been told lies about a lot of things in this society in regards to our history, in regards to our God, who is the Most High, the Heavenly Father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We've been told lies, severe lies. We have to come out of this world of deception. You know what I mean? And subterfuge. We need to come back to the understanding of the truth and sincerity. And sometimes the truth don't taste good, but it's good for you. You feel what I'm saying? So it's important for us to embrace the true aspects of this society, and it starts with understanding the Bible. If you don't understand the Bible, then you're not going to understand this world that we live in. This three-dimensional, duplicitous world that's being governed by our enemies. We got to understand who our enemies are instead of trying to ingratiate ourselves with these people. Time and time again, their track record proves who they are. They are our enemies. All the nations are our enemies, but the main enemy to the so-called black man is the so-called white man. Really, the main enemy is himself. But, when you conquer that, then you start to identify who your enemy is on the outside, which is the so-called white man, Esau. You feel what I'm saying? It's important for us to understand who we are and who our enemies are and what time it is. All right? It's very, very important, man. So it says here, Melly was so badly injured that she was in a coma for 12 days. The New York Times in 1990 described the attack on her as one of the most widely publicized crimes of the 1980s. So, this was the date, obviously, April 19th, 1989. And I was watching a movie, of course, and, a lot of stuff that was documented in the movie, it really played a big part into the scope of, the intricacies of the case. And it's very, very, very revelatory. And it's crazy because, it kind of bothered me watching it for the first time just because of how just unjust it was. It was so unjust how they framed these five young so-called black men, man. It was fucked up. You know what I mean? It was fucked up the way they framed these guys. But let's continue on. So the location, obviously, Central Park, New York City, U.S. Trisha Melly and 8 others, as far as the non-fatal injuries. The arrest, 20 to 24. Accused 5 teenagers indicted for rape of jogger and other charges. Another was given a plea deal and pleaded guilty to assault. 4 other teenagers were indicted for assault and other charges related to attacks on other persons that night in the park. Convicted 5 youths were tried in 2 trials for the rape of the female jogger. The 6 made a plea deal in 1991 for a lesser charge and had a lesser sentence. 4 of the 5 in the Melly case were convicted in 1990 of rape, assaults, and other charges. This is just really, really unfortunate that these young men had to go through what they went through. But I'm glad that they had that they were compensated for, the unjust ruling of them having to serve time that they served. I'm happy about that, but it still doesn't take away the nature of who the devil is, which is the white man. And the term devil is not a red person with a pitchfork, even though the white man is red. But it's not a monster with 2 horns on his head with a pitchfork. That's nonsense. The devil just means deceiver. The biggest deceiver on the planet Earth is the so-called white man. How do we know that? Because he controls this society. When I say he, I'm not talking about one person. I'm talking about a body, as far as the people that control the money, the Caucasian Jews, the Rothschilds, the Warburgs, so on and so forth. So based off of their authority and their approval on what gets disseminated to the masses, whether it be the news media, whether it be books that we're privy to, whether it be history, it's all based in deception. It's not based in any truth. They don't tell black people that they came from they came from other places other than so-called Africa. They don't tell black people that they ruled in Europe for thousands of years. They don't tell black people that black people had white people in servitude. They don't tell people any of that stuff. They don't tell black people that their names come from Welsh last names, as far as the last names of black people. They don't tell any of us that. We have to figure that stuff out on our own. We have to, come into the understanding of that on our own with self-edification, or you humbling yourself to somebody teaching you these things so you can understand your place. And the reason why they lie to you is because it's all based in a psychological programming. It's all based in programming because they want black people to look at themselves as less than. So they just tell us that we come from slavery and we ain't nothing. When we are the dominant race, we dominate music, we dominate everything. So there has to be something that's missing. And that's the truth. The truth is not privy to us. That's the problem in the society. We don't understand the truth. If we were more privy to our true history and our true understanding of who we are, then we wouldn't feel the need to cling on to these other races. Like we have to settle the intraracial discrepancies as far as our shortcomings before we want to, ingratiate ourselves with other nations, as we shouldn't be doing. Because when we do that, then we forsake our culture. There's no uniform code of conduct. There's no uniform understanding of how we must conduct ourselves according to propriety, according to morals, principles, standards of the Most High. The Most High set that up for us. But we are not living up to that because the Most High has forsaken us, because we disobeyed him. But he hasn't forsaken us 100%. He just forsaken the people that's not willing to come back to him in regards to his chosen. Because not every Israelite is going to be saved. But let's continue on. 4 of the 5 in the Melly case were convicted in 1990 of rape, assault, and other charges. One of these was convicted of attempted murder. One was convicted on lesser charges, but as an adult. The other 5 defendants pleaded guilty to the assault before trial and received lesser sentences. Charges: assault, robbery, riot, rape, sexual abuse, and attempted murder. The verdict: guilty. Sentences range from 5 to 10 years for 4 juveniles and 5 to 15 years for a 16-year-old. And I believe the guy wasn't even 16. They just put that on him because he was scared. Like, these kids, they were pressured into lying on each other based in the prosecution, or more so the interrogation, and how it can be something. It can be stressful. You feel what I'm saying? To the point where you willing to just say anything, and that's what happened to them. They were framed. And this happens when you're in captivity, as a so-called black man, as a true Israelite. This is what's gonna happen when you're in captivity, when you're in bondage. This is not our rest. This is not our rest. We are in bondage. We are in bondage. Let's continue on. So it says, in 5 to 15 years for a 16-year-old who was classified as an adult because of the violent nature of the crime. 4 of the teenagers in the Melly case, or the Mealy case, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, served between 6 to 7 years in juvenile facilities. 1, sentenced as an adult, served 13 years. 4 unsuccessfully appealed their convictions in 1991. After another man was identified as the rapist in 2002. And it's sad that it had to take basically 13 years. 13 years for them to find out who truly committed this act. It's a damn shame, man. Let me take this auto rotate off. It's a damn shame that it had to take that long for them to come to a finalization on who really did this. And I'm so glad that they were able to get compensation from this, man. So it's crazy. So it says these 5 convictions were vacated and the state withdrew all charges against the men. But I just want to read up, leading up to that in regards to just the nuance. So it says the litigation, the 5 men sued the city for discrimination and emotional distress. Yeah, because they had to serve 5 to 10 years, 7 years and shit like that. Like, how unjust is this society, man? Well, we know that's rhetorical. But when you understand that, then that should behoove you to develop a ruling class mentality and unplug yourself from this world that we're in. You have to unplug yourself from this society, man. This is not our world. This is not for us. This is the white man's kingdom. This is Esau's kingdom. Pursuant to Genesis, the 27th chapter, when he was given a blessing from his father Isaac, he was given a blessing to rule the fatness of the earth. The Edomites, Caucasians, And how do we know that the Edomites that the Edomites are the Caucasians? Because of biblical prophecy and history. And I'm just going to give you one little verse. I'm not even going to give you too much, but I'm going to give you one little verse just to give you an understanding of who the Edomites truly are. So we're going to go to the book of Obadiah, where it says, the vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom, meaning, the white man, Esau. Edom is just another way of saying Esau as far as the nations, Edomites. Edom means red. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. That's talking about the nations. That's talking about the other nations. You feel what I'm saying? Particularly the so-called white man. Because any nation outside of Israel, you're deemed as a heathen. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Yes, because the white people make up the least percentage on the earth. The least amount of population on the earth is white people. That's a fact. That's a fact. Because they have recessive traits. They don't have dominant traits. That's why they do what they do, because they have to make up for what they lack. You know what I mean? They don't even have melanin, which is what helps you get vitamin D from the sun. So what does that tell you about what the Most High thinks of these people? The Most High cursed these people. The Most High cursed the so-called white man, the white nations. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. The pride of the so-called white man have deceived them, because they lie. They set themselves up as a paragon, but they're the one that's trash. A lot of white people are descendants from white trash. They don't even come from descendants of Europe, because we was in Europe first. All this stuff in regards to propaganda and lies is based in psychological programming. That's what it's based in. They don't want black people to know their power. The black man's God is the God of Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob. And that's only the so-called black man and people that's intermixed in with that, as far as you being from Afro descent. You have to understand that God doesn't love everybody. God does not love everybody. That's a big misconception. God loves you. And it's sad that some people can't embrace that, because they have this slave mentality. You don't want to be higher. You don't want to be higher. You want to be basic. You're special, but you don't want to embrace that you're special. You just want to be plain and simple and a leaf in the fucking wind. Excuse my French, and there's nothing wrong with cussing. So it says, that though thou exalt thyself as the eagle. What does that mean? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle. What is the symbol of America? What do you see when you look at a quarter? So what is that telling? What is that telling you? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. Meaning they set themselves up high. They're the paragon, but it's not going to be but for so long. It's not going to be but for so long. If thieves come to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? By having a spiritual eye. That's how. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. That they eat thy bread have laid a wound on the tree. There is none understanding in him. It's talking about Esau. The people that try to make it seem as if we should be confederate with them. Oh, it's all about peace and love. There's no more racism. Listen, man. The Most High is giving us the understanding of who these people are and their true nature. It's telling you right here in the book, in the manuscripts itself. They deceive us with their bullshit with their bullshit act of peace and integration by utilizing pawns like MLK and shit. So we can be in a communist-based society, which is based in Babylonianism and Luciferianism and Marxism. Integration. Come together with other nations so you can forsake your culture. That's what happened to us. That's what happened to us. That's what happened to us. You know? It's crazy, man. And it tells you here, I'm trying to look for the verse where it says, thou shalt dwell in the clefts of the rocks, meaning the Caucasus Mountains from whence they came. Where is that verse at where it says, thou shalt dwell in the clefts of the rocks? It's in Obadiah. I just forget what verse it is. Let's just read then. Let's read it. And thy mighty, O men. No, let's read up. Let's read up. Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, meaning the people, so-called black people, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. And the day that thou stoodest on the other side, and the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners into his gates, that's talking about us, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou wast as one of them, because they was in servitude as well. They were in servitude as well. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger. Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah, meaning Negroes. Negroes come from the tribe of Judah, in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. That's talking about the time in which we had our diaspora, from when we were besieged in 70 AD in the land of Jerusalem, in the land. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. Yes, it is. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Yes. You know what I mean? Whoso leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, pursuant to Revelation 10 and 13. Or if I'm not mistaken, 13 and 10, where it says, who shall leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Right? For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as tough they had not been. Meaning the Most High is going to put the Spirit on us to really amplify our spiritual strength to take out these other nations. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance. It didn't say upon every nation shall be deliverance. It said upon Mount Zion, meaning the Israelites. Upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness. Everything is going to be based in righteousness. Holy means separate. Only the people that are separate are righteous, meaning the elect. And the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame. And the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them. Joseph meaning the northern kingdom. You know what I mean? The southern kingdom is talking about Jacob. The northern kingdom is talking about Joseph in regards to the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Israel. And devour them, And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. Now this is talking about the 1,000 years after we rule, and the paradigm shift in regards to our kingdom. So there's not going to be no more remaining of Esau, because right now, like I said, they're the least population on the earth. So they're going to continue to decline and decrease. You feel what I'm saying? And decay. Excuse me with that text. That's my lady. Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it. And they of the south shall possess the mountain of Esau, meaning the southern kingdom. And they of the plain and the Philistines, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim and the fields of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead. And the captivity of this host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, even unto Zarephath. And the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Shephar, shall possess the cities of the south. And saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's. Oh, I'm bugging. Yeah, it was in verse 3. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, meaning the Caucasus Mountains in West Asia. You know what I mean? When they came from the Caucasus Mountains during the Russian steppe, the Khazars, and they basically conquered us, and they took our heritage. They stole our heritage. That's why it tells you in Jeremiah 17:4 that Israel shall be no more. They stole our heritage, the Khazars, the Caucasians who were deemed as Khazars. You know what I mean? And basically what they were doing in the caves were based in, the things that we see today as far as what they promote, which is bestiality, homosexuality, incest, so on and so forth. So that's what it's about, man. So I just wanted to go back to this article real quick. Attacks in Central Park that night were allegedly committed by a loose group of 30 to 32 teenagers, and police attempted to apprehend suspects after crimes began to report between 9 and 10 p.m. The brutally beaten Melly was not found until 1:30 a.m., after which the police hunt greatly intensified. They took into custody 14 or more other suspects over the next few days and arrested a total of 10 suspects who were ultimately tried for the attacks. Among them were 4 African American and 2 Hispanic American teenagers who were indicted on May 10th on charges of assault, robbery, riot, rape, sexual abuse, and attempted murder of Melly and an unrelated man, John Laughlin. The prosecutor planned to try the defendants into 2 groups, then scheduled the 6th defendant to be tried last. The latter pleaded guilty in January 1991 on lesser charges and received a reduced sentence. And all this is all based in them being framed. Like, they didn't deserve to be sentenced, period. They didn't deserve none of this. They didn't deserve any of this. And the funny thing is, why wasn't DNA brought up initially? Like, that's something that you should report to first. Like, let's see if we can get their DNA to match, as far as seeing if there's some semen that came from any of the boys, or any sort of like hair follicles, so on and so forth. Like, why didn't they come up with that first? That way you get to the bottom of it quickly. That's how you know that this was all based in an agenda. When you watch the movie, the woman said, I want you to go to Harlem and search for all of the black men that were there, all of the black teenagers that were there. Just paraphrasing, because it's agenda based. It wasn't just all kids that were there. It was just black kids and Latino kids. You know what I mean? Like, this is the world we live in. Because this is not our rest, Israel. This is not our rest. Persecution or prosecution of the 5 remaining defendants in a rape and assault case was based primarily on confessions which they had made after police interrogations. And those interrogations were based in deception, like trying to make them scared to the point where they just say that they did it, even though they didn't do it. You feel what I'm saying? And the same thing, they kind of did that with Khalif Browder. Like it's this unjust society we live in. We can't necessarily get too riled up about it because we have to understand where we at. The reason why a lot of our people get riled up about it is because they don't understand this society. They think that this equality agenda should be something that should come into fruition. There's no two things that's equal on the planet Earth. We are not equal to nobody because we're special. Why would you want to be equal? Why the fuck would you want to be equal or treated equal to a people that's in a position of, authority, in which they utilize tactics to preserve their people, which is something that we would do if we was in the same position. So we have to develop a ruling class mentality. Stop victimizing ourselves. We have to stop victimizing ourselves. It's very important, man. So none had counsel during the questioning or during this questioning. Within weeks, they each withdrew these confessions, pleaded not guilty, and refused plea deals on the rape and assault charges. None of the suspects' DNA matched the DNA collected from the crime scene. 2 semen samples that both belonged to one unidentified man. No substantive physical evidence connected any of the 5 teenagers to the rape scene, but each was convicted in 1990 of related assault and other charges. And it just shows you that they were framed. They were framed because they're Israelites. That's why. Because they're God's chosen people. Now, on the surface, in regards to on the carnal level, it's not like in their mind they doing this because they know that they're God's chosen people. It's just that the spiritual basis behind all this stuff is predicated on the fact that we're God's chosen people. And that's a fact. And nothing but. None of the suspect's DNA matched the DNA collected from the crime scene. 2 semen samples that both belonged to one unidentified man. No substantive physical evidence connected any of the 5 teenagers to the rape scene, but each was convicted in 1990 of related assault and other charges. Subsequently, known as the Central Park 5, they received sentences ranging from 5 to 15 years. 4 of the defendants appealed their convictions, but these were affirmed by appellate courts, meaning courts that just go off of decision making and definitive decision making. The 4 juvenile defendants served 6 to 7 years each. The 16-year-old tried and sentenced as an adult served 13 years in an adult prison. The 5 other defendants indicted for assaults of other victims pleaded guilty to reduced charges and received less severe sentences. In 2001, Matthias, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, or Mashai or Matthias Reyes, convicted murderer and serial rapist serving life in prison, confessed to the officials that he had raped the female jogger. So they had went through all that when they were wrongfully accused. And it just shows you the world that we live in, man. So I just wanted to go over some scriptures that I noted in my notes and all that. So let's go up. So Ecclesiasticus 3:19. Many are in high place and of renown, but mysteries are revealed unto the meek. So it's only the humble and the people that was given the spirit by the Most High that can be able to discern the spiritual aspect of this society. Not everybody understands the spiritual aspect, the truthful spiritual aspect. No, not everybody understands the unadulterated truth in the Bible in regards to what the Bible is speaking and who and who the Bible is geared towards in regards to the prophecies and so on and so forth. The Bible is not for everybody. The Bible is not talking about everybody. The Bible is only talking about one nation of people, and that's the Israelites. And it's iterated throughout the book. So let's continue on. Ecclesiasticus 3:20, aka Sirach 3:20. For the power of the Lord is great, and he is honored of the lowly. It's just basically iterating the same sentiment in Ecclesiasticus 3:19. Matthew 10 and 22. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. But he that endureth to the end shall be saved. So this is Christ letting us know that we shall be hated for his name's sake, because when he was around, he was hated because he was righteous, because he stood for righteousness and he promoted righteousness. He wasn't tempted. He was the greatest man to ever walk the face of the earth. So-called Jesus Christ, whose name is Yahushua HaMashiach. So-called black man is a physical manifestation of Jesus Christ. That's why it says that we shall be hated for his name's sake. That's why it says that in the beginning, let's make man in our image, because the Most High set up Christ and the angels to create man in the world. Christ was in a celestial form when he was set up to create the earth with the angels. Christ came in a physical form when you read John 1 through 14. It gives you the understanding of him coming in a physical form. The only man to be in the celestial and the physical form. Who's on one accord with the Most High. Matthew 5 and 25. Now this verse is very pertinent, because recently I was arrested, and I was arrested for something that was, wrongful, but through faith I was able to overcome that and get out of that. And when you follow Matthew 5 and 25, it becomes more easier for you to deal with it, as far as you having to go through the process of getting locked up and so on and so forth. I don't have a record or anything like that, but I was wrongfully accused of something and I was arrested. And I'm glad that I was able to keep my faith and my hope that I was able to get out of that, and I was. So I appreciate the Heavenly Father for blessing me. So it says, agree with thine adversary quickly, meaning just comply. You get pulled over, just comply. He asks you for your ID, your license, registration, just comply. Don't be scared, just comply. Whilst thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. So it's important that, even in the midst of us doing something that we know that we shouldn't be doing, we still have to accept, the consequential aspects of it, and just comply, so the Most High can spare you. It's important, man. Deuteronomy 28 and 28. The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. Know what I mean? And it's only relevant. It's only relevant to the people that were given the understanding in regards to the true understanding of the book. That's why you have an elect. That's why you have 144,000, because not everybody is going to understand the book. No matter how much you try to beat their head over the Bible, they're not going to get it. It's only a select few of people that understand the book. And that's thus saith the scriptures, thus saith the Lord, pursuant to Matthew chapter 13. You know what I mean? Deuteronomy 28 and 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. And this is prophecy. This is what happened during the time of, the Atlantic slave trade, in which some men had to see their wife get raped or sexualized by the white man. When we were in bondage during the time of imperialism, when our rulership was overturned after the Renaissance period. You know what I mean? So thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Meaning we're not going to be able to enjoy the fruits of our labor in this captivity that we in. You know what I mean? Thou shalt plant a vineyard and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. Same thing. We're not going to be able to enjoy the fruits of our labor to the best of our ability because of the society that we're in, the deceptive society that we're in, the credit-based society that we're in. It's crazy, man. Deuteronomy chapter 32. Thy sons and thy daughters. So I have this here twice. I guess I kind of like over highlighted it, but it's all good. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people. Yes. And this is in regards to the people that this is aiming towards the descendants of the people of the ancient times. So it says, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand. Meaning, you're not gonna be strong in those days. You're not gonna be strong enough, even in past time in which you had the son and the mother, in which the son was taken away from the mother, and the mother couldn't do anything about it, especially during the time of slavery. Now, mind you, slavery is a narrative. Yes, we were in slavery. Yes, were in servitude, but there were people here in America, as far as black people first. We had white people in servitude first. Like, all this shit they don't teach us, man. They only teach us we just come from slavery, because it's all programming. It's all psychological programming. They lie to us in this world that we live in. So we got 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle lieth. As the eagle flieth. Now remember, we was reading Obadiah where it says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle. So we understand what this is in regards to. This is talking about the so-called white people. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Why? Because we have no affinity with those people. We have no affinity with those people. Deuteronomy 28 and 52. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates. This is talking about 70 AD during the siege of Jerusalem. And thy high and fenced walls come down wherein thou trustest throughout all thy land. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all thy land, which the Lord thy God hath given thee. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother. Because back in the ancient times, we had more of a bond between each other in regards to the Israelites. Now it's like we walk past each other and we just don't even acknowledge each other. Or if I walk past another brother and I look at him, he may take it a certain way, as if I'm looking at him with an evil eye, like, oh, what you want to do? Oh, what's up? Why you looking at me like that? Oh, why you step on my feet like that? Like, we don't have that bond that we used to have in the ancient times, where our eye was tender towards our brother and delicate, meaning we had a certain love and affection for our brother, because the Most High tells you to love your brother like you love yourself. And ye shall be, and this is verse 62. And ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because thou wouldest not obey the voice of the Lord thy power. Now, this is just in regards to us befalling the curses if we were to disobey him, and these prophecies came to pass. These prophecies came to pass. And it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you. Because the Most High is just. The Most High is just. Let me get that. The Most High is everything, and the Most High is just. I form the light. This is the Most High speaking through Isaiah. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. So never limit the Heavenly Father to benevolence. The Most High is evil and good in regards to him being just, as far as it being a just cause as to why he judges his people. Now, me getting arrested was judgment from the Heavenly Father. You know what I mean? If you grow up and you promote gang violence and you glorify that shit, and something happens to you, we gotta understand the consequences, and instead of looking at the mourning, and it's wrong, of course. You don't want to see nobody die, but you have to have a pragmatic understanding as far as the Most High being judgmental. The Most High is the judge, so he judges based off of our conduct here on the earth. We are held accountable for everything we do on the earth. We are held accountable for everything we do on the earth. And when judgment comes, what we gonna say? Oh God, I'm sorry I couldn't stop eating pork. Oh God, I'm sorry I couldn't keep my eyes off that man's wife. You know what I mean? So we gotta understand these things, man. It's very, very, very important. Let me get James 4:4 real quick too. James 4:4. Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God? So it's saying, don't you know that you being plugged into this world, you giving into the ways of this world and putting this world on the pedestal in regards to the agendas and what you look at as far as the American dream, so on and so forth, you being greedy for money and loot, so on and so forth. You're not supposed to be of this world. You can enjoy the things of this world, but you're not supposed to put it on a pedestal. So if you're a friend of the world, then you are an enemy of the Most High. Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with the Most High? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God. Because the Most High is not of this world. So how the fuck could the Most High love everybody if he's telling you that he doesn't agree with the mores and the credos and the modus operandi of this society? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. That's how you know the Most High is a separatist. The Most High is not who we think he is in regards to the Christian church teachings of the Heavenly Father. I'm looking for 1 John. And it's the same thing, where it says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. And how do we love the Heavenly Father? Let's go look that up right now. I believe it's 1 John 3 and 5. It could be 5 and 3. I could be wrong. Yeah, so let's go to 1 John 5 and 3. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. That's how you love God. So if you walking around talking about you love God, and you're a black person, and you eating pork, you don't love God. Simple as that. Because you're not following the commandments. Simple as that. Simple as that. That's just one simple example right there. So that's it on that. You know what I mean? I just wanted to bring that out because it was just at the forefront of my mind, and I was very bothered by what I was seeing and what I came across in regards to the news of the Central Park 5 situation. Like, I'm sorry I wasn't aware. I don't know where the hell I've been. Just been into the scriptures and other things that are not of this world, but you have to still be privy to what's going on because it's always going to be a spiritual basis behind these things. So it's incumbent upon me to understand that and do my due diligence of tapping into what goes on in this world from a newsworthy standpoint. So I just want to thank you guys for chiming in, or more so just supporting, not chiming in, but just supporting and just your viewership. So I just thank you guys so much. Peace.